Hello, A Day with Caleb, and we are back. This time we are going to talk about films that failed to launch a franchise, and you could kind of say the video we did before, movies that set up a sequel that didn't go anywhere. These are kind of interlocked, even though I think it's for the most part a different list, but they're kind of in the same camp, if you will. But this completely not different, but a different video, a different thing. We kick it off with Aragon. Uh, Again, these are movies that were supposed to set up a whole franchise, whether that's, a trilogy or a whole thing where it would kind of shoot off spin off films. You could think of John Wick. It has 4 films, but then I also spun off and did a movie, and now I think there is a show uh, being developed or being shot now in the John in the John Wick universe. So Aragon, solid film, but failed to kind of captivate audiences and failed at the box office. John Carter has been on previous entries, John Carter of Mars, like the books, you would done a little better, I think, if you called it John Carter of Mars, and had a better trailer and marketing. Uh, didn't do any justice for it. Lone Ranger, uh, many factors why that failed to launch a franchise. I was watching a video recently. They built a whole train track, a working train with like 8 or 9 cars. Really did detail like interior and stuff, and in the end, it kind of looks CG anyway. So they could have saved all that money. Part of the reason it failed is because they ballooned the budget so much. And it's pretty solid if you just immediately went into that world. I think the going back and forth to the old man, and I think that didn't really do any favors for it. Assassin's Creed, love the video games. I haven't played the last couple, but like the first 4 or 5 games, solid. Some of them I didn't get all the way through, but the first game, really great with kind of the parkour, climbing the city, jumping rooftops, evading the law. Those are great gameplay features. They really didn't highlight anything from the game into the movie, if that makes sense. They went into the lore and didn't really give you the parkour, like jumping atmosphere, like pickpocketing, the little missions, missed opportunity. Then we get to the Golden Compass with Nicole Kidman, supposed to launch a franchise, and I do remember those polar bears very vividly. Pretty cool. And there's there's a golden compass that everybody looks for. You have the little kid, Nicole Kidman, the bears. That would have been interesting to see where that went in the sequels. Artemis Fowl, Disney a Disney film. I watched it actually pretty recently, the last couple of months. Uh, the gadgets and stuff are pretty cool. Don't remember much about it, but at Goodwill, the last week or so, I saw a book where they kind of show the gadgets and break down the different behind the scenes thing. That was more uh, interesting than the movie itself. But that could be me too. I like that kind of breaking down stuff like that. The Magician's Apprentice, again, another Disney movie. I remember this and G-Force, the hamster, uh, what would you call them, like spy force in the little hamster wheels. This was with Nicolas Cage, uh, and the visuals were pretty cool, but again, don't remember much about the movie. The Mortal Instruments, not to be confused with another entry later down the list, Mortal Engines. The Mortal Instruments, I think that's like a rom-com kind of dark goth kind of thing, right? City of Ember, I do kind of remember this. They're like in a bunker and they want to go to an oasis, right? If I'm remembering that right. That failed. Jumper, this one I do remember because I think the stunt crew with the ice, I think one of the ice pillars landed on a person, and I think there were a lot of like mismanaged action scenes in that film. But the premise of that is pretty cool, like jumping portals with Deadpool and Wolverine and, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange, jumping portals. That was an interesting idea back then, which Marvel, of course, now has done way better with. I Am Number 4, an interesting film. I'm trying to think. not a lot comes to mind. I do remember the poster. Number 4, Dragon Ball Evolution. Uh, Again, growing up with Cartoon Network, we would come home from school and Dragon Ball, the original would be on, or Dragon Ball Z would be on. Most of the time, it would be Dragon Ball Z. Great series. Have Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Evolution. I want to say I have Dragon Ball Super as well, and Dragon Ball GT. Maybe I have Dragon Ball GT and I think I still need Dragon Ball Super. And that newest movie, Dragon Ball Super Heroes, I think, that was great. We saw that in theaters. My bro, David, loves anime like me, so we all went and saw that fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, go check that out. But the Dragon Ball Evolution failed to capture that magic that you saw in the anime and animation, which is unfortunate that we haven't seen an attempt at a live action remake again. Master and Commander, and then there's a long title that I never can remember, comment that down below. Russell Crowe, pretty cool sea, like ocean ship film, pretty neat. The only other movie you can think of when it comes to ships like that is Pirates. They had some beautiful ships in that movie, but this one, there are some drawn out scenes, but pretty solid film. I don't think people knew exactly what it was supposed to be. On the heels of Gladiator being like a war action film, this one has some action, but not to that level where it's kind of in your face. This one's kind of more on the outskirts. Warcraft, and I was not a big D&D guy. Didn't really get into any of that world, so I didn't know about any of this going into it, and I actually liked the film. But knowing a little bit about that kind of space, I could see why fans of that genre or type of game would get upset. But that's a shame. I have that. The last year or so, I got that on Steelbook at Walmart, I believe. Pretty cool Steelbook. Jupiter Ascending, a weird film with Tom Hanks, right? And Halle Berry. Interesting. I think they played multiple different characters as well. That would have been interesting to see where that went if they had done a sequel. Now we get to the other Mortal Engines with Peter Jackson, with the moving houses, where essentially your house is your battle tank, which I could see why people weren't sure what to think about this film. It is kind of an out there concept, but I really did enjoy this movie. Prince of Persia, another one which was Sands of Time. We gotta add the little side title. We saw that in theaters too, and I think I actually have a hat from Prince of Persia at the screening or something. Somehow we won it. And again, I did play the games, but wasn't as invested as, say, like a Tomb Raider or a Hitman. Prince of Persia, we really didn't play all that much, and it's a shame the movie didn't do well. I still remember that poster too. Missed opportunity. That would have been a fun road to explore in the sequels, but hence we do not have any. But we still have Prince of Persia to go and see. Push, a movie with Chris Evans and Dakota Fanning, if I'm not mistaken. Basically a group of people that have superpowers. If I'm going off of memory, I think that's what it is. Then we end with Wanted, Angelina Jolie, the spinning or side swiping bullet and this is based off a graphic novel. I have the special edition box set with the bullet, kind of the see-through case. But that's a shame that Wanted didn't do as good as they wanted. Of course, what would you have called the sequel? You're not gonna call it Wanted 2. It's kind of a tricky situation. It's kind of like Knives Out. The sequel you're not gonna call Knives Out 2 or Knives Out Again. So they called it the Glass Onion. But then I think pressure from the studio, they called it the Glass Onion, a Knives Out story or saga. But Glass Onion was just dropped on Netflix. I don't think it had a theatrical run. So that was the list of movies that failed to launch a franchise. Comment down below which ones you watched or any of these listed. Comment your comments down below. Like, subscribe, share with a movie lover. Until next time, keep collecting.